Weekends in the summertime are my absolute favorite. Some people prefer the cooler air of the fall, while other lunatics that walk amongst us pretend that winter is a grand old time. But let's be honest, summer in Canada is where it's at. It means getting outdoors and it means markets and festivals. The Carp Farmers Market has been a staple of my Saturday mornings for almost a decade now. Local vendors from around the area come together to sell crafts and quilts, preserves, meats, and baked goods. It's a great chance to get to know the farmers in the area and pick up some high-quality goodies. When I first got there, my nose perked right up because after a 2-season absence from the market, the legendary bacon on a bun was back. It's exactly the kind of no-nonsense, no-frills business that I can really get behind. It's as advertised. You get your choice of local bacon, either side bacon or back bacon, which to you Americans you know better as Canadian bacon. They also offer extras including cheese, egg, or water. I don't eat eggs, and I felt like water might make my sandwich just a little bit damp, so I just got cheese. You get to top it however you want, almost like going to a potluck at your local church. Really, it hit the spot. It was greasy, salty, a little bit crunchy, perfection. My next stop was Bearbrook Farms, one of the best local meat producers in our area. They've got all kinds of wild game options, including a chili that encompasses half the forest frolickers. For me though, what I really love is their variety of sausages. There's always something different to try out, and I make it a point to pick something about once a month that I've never had before. This week we went with some summer sausage and some garlic buffalo sausages. Look, I've never been disappointed by anything that I've had at Bearbrook, and like everything else, these were excellent. One booth that we stop at every single week without fail is Leah the Baker. Leah makes the most incredible cookies with beautiful, colorful designs to appeal to children. Every week my son painstakingly considers every colorful option while Tyrone walks him through the options until he finally settles on one. This week he got a twin pack of Dinosaur cookies, and then of course we grabbed a package of oatmeal cookies for Mom and Dad. I also really enjoy her Stroopwafels, which is a Dutch cookie filled with caramel in the middle. Leah recommends setting it over top of a hot beverage before eating it just to let the caramel get a little bit gooey. Leah, of course, is blessed with wisdom because doing it that way is frankly the only way to eat her Stroopwafels. The last booth that I stopped at this week was Hall's Apple Orchard. My son has taken a real liking to the tart sweetness of fresh apple cider, and anytime that I can support my local farmers, I'm happy to do so. They also have an incredible array of fruit pies available, and about twice a year I opt to grab one. Not this week, however. I figured the cookies were enough of a treat for this weekend, but I'm certain a strawberry rhubarb pie will find its way into my arms before too long. There were a lot of plants for sale, and I did consider it, but I still have a lot of pickled jalapenos left over from last year's garden, and I didn't see any bell peppers, which is really what I was on the lookout for. The big storms last week took its toll on my plants, and we lost a lot of our garden. However, maybe next week they'll have some seedlings. I'd much rather support my local farms than the Walmart garden center. Now, it was back in the car that I discovered my wife and son had snuck off while I was awaiting my bacon on a bun and picked up some additional snacks from a vendor called Toros Treats. This cake in a cup was systematically destroyed by my son after a very light supper last night, and then this giant thing is called a magic bar filled with pretzels and chocolate and all kinds of other goodies atop a layer of peanut butter. It's the kind of thing that's both calling out to me, but I'm going to smartly stay away from it because even a couple of bites of that would upset my not-so-iron gut, but it does look outstanding. Later that day, we headed off for the Kanata Rib Fest. This is the first of what is expected to be several rib fests in the Ottawa area this season, and we haven't had any since 2019 because of, well, you know. I admit, it was a little disappointing to see that there was only 3 vendors participating in the Rib Fest this year. I got to judge the ribs at this event back in 2019, and there were 7 participants trying to seduce my mouth with ribs, chicken, and pulled pork. I understand that the last couple of years wreaked havoc on the business model, and it's kind of sad to see how few really made it through. There is another Rib Fest in downtown Ottawa next week, which features different teams, and they're expected to have more participants. But what I like about this event comparative to the Spark Street one is that they promote more diversity in their barbecue. The Spark Street event has all the same prices and more or less the same dishes and sides. Here, for example, though, you have a Latino team, Gonzalez BBQ, that has some alternative meats like carne asada or arepa. In fact, I really wanted to give them a go, but Gonzalez didn't offer any combos that allowed me to sample a little bit of everything, and that's what I was looking for. So I settled instead on Dinosaur BBQ. Now let's be clear, this is not the same Dinosaur BBQ that's made its name famous in upstate New York. These are a completely different crew. However, I'd never tried them before, whereas I was familiar with the third team, Ribs Royale. And these guys had a deal to get the ribs, pulled pork, and chicken all in one. On our way out, we grabbed a corn dog for my son, but with my hands full of barbecue, I wasn't able to get a picture or any video. However, it was one of those hand-dipped kinds like you'd see at a state fair. In the exact words of my son, "That's the biggest pogo I've never seen." We took our goods home, and dinner time was delicious. It was saucy and smoky and fall off the bone. And I can hear you now. Chris, you own a smoker, what gives? Look, I do, and I love making my own barbecue. But I flat out love barbecue, which means if there's a festival, I'm going to be there to support it and ensure that they want to come back again and again to my city. It's good for the economy, and it's great to promote the love of barbecue. Hey, thanks so much for joining me on a tour of the local festivals in the Ottawa area this past weekend. If you'd like to see me do a more comprehensive review of next week's Spark Street Rib Fest, do let me know in the comment section down below, and maybe I'll make that happen. In the meantime, thank you so much as always for liking, commenting, and subscribing to all my videos, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Ciao for now.